Alright, so this is the website where Konami posts the Forbidden and Limited list. I will have a link for this site down in the description below. And so this list determines which cards you can play 0 of, 1 of, or 2 of. Every card that's not on this list, you can play 3 of. So the first section here, this part right here is all the cards that are forbidden, so you can play 0 of these. And then this section here, the second one, is the limited section. So these are all the cards you're allowed to play only 1 of in your deck. And then the bottom section is the semi-limited, so you can play 2 of these in your deck. Also below that, these are cards that used to be on the list, but are no longer, so you can play 3 of these now. There's a few things you'll probably notice. For example, there's a few sections here, so like was limited. So that means that Dragon Ravine on the previous list was only at 1, but now you can play 2. So if you know which cards were previously on the list, you can check to see how they've been changed just by looking at the last column. And it'll also say new if any of the cards were previously at 3, and now they're at, in this case, this one's only allowed at 1 now. Also at the top of the list is the date when it starts being in effect. These used to also have the date that it would stop being in effect, but lately Konami has been lazy and they haven't been putting an end date on their lists. So it's very up in the air as to when we'll get a new one. Usually lists come out every 3 or 4 months. In the past there has been a list September 1st every year. There wasn't this year, I guess, since that date has already passed, but I think we can still expect a new one will be up soon. So if you check back, this might be on a newer format than this one. This is currently the July 2015 format still.
So, as you might expect, cards that are banned are usually some of the most powerful cards in the game. And then cards that are limited are also usually extremely powerful. And then cards that are semi-limited are usually good, but there's usually a definite drop-off to cards at this level. A lot of times cards that are semi-limited don't really need to be semi-limited. So now I would like to talk a little bit about why some cards get banned, just to give you guys a rough idea. So the most obvious reason is that the card by itself is just totally overpowered. So for example, the Forceful Sentry lets you look at all the cards in your opponent's hand, choose one card, and then shuffle it into the deck. So that means you know every card in your opponent's hand, which for high-level players gives them a huge advantage. And you also get to choose their best card and put it back in their deck where they can't access it anymore. Cold Wave makes it so your opponent can't activate any spell or trap cards until your next turn, which basically means that you can go off with any monster effects and kill your opponent in that turn, and they can't use any other traps to stop you. And Imperial Order negates the effects of all spell cards as long as it's face up in the field, and during each standby phase you can pay 700 life points to keep it on the field or destroy it. So basically this is a free negate any spell card, and then you can keep it on the field for as long as you want and get rid of it whenever you want to use your own spell cards again. So cards like these are just extremely overpowered and are rightfully banned because of it. Another reason that cards get banned are combos. So sometimes there are some pretty crazy combos that people come up with. For example, Rescue Cat. This card is one of the best cards in the game, simply because of the combos it can pull off. I don't have all the cards to show you how the combo works, but just by normal summoning this one monster, you can go into Shooting Quasar Dragon without using any other cards in your hand. And Shooting Quasar Dragon is one of the best synchro monsters in the entire game, and it's purposefully designed to be hard to summon. Basically, you can use Rescue Cat to go into almost anything in your extra deck just by comboing off. Another card that's pretty ridiculous with combos is Last Turn. So Last Turn is an alternate win condition card, and it allows to send all cards on the field and in both players' hands to the graveyard, except for one monster they control. Their opponent can then special summon one monster from their deck, and then the monsters battle, and whichever one's left, that player wins. But the thing is, if you have a monster like Fossil Dynamite, which prevents special summons, your opponent can't special summon a monster, and you automatically win when you activate last turn. So comboing this with a monster like Fossil Dynamite makes it way too good, so it's banned. And now I want to show you a combo that very recently got all 4 of the Dragon Rulers banned. So I do have most of the cards for this. So how the combo works is you Exceed Summon for Galaxy Eyes Exceed monster. So basically you just need 2 level 8 monsters on the field, which is fairly easy to do actually. And then on top of that, you special summon a Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter Dragon. Use its effect, and you can send any 3 dragons from your deck to the grave. So it's important that you send a Dragon Ruler, an Eclipse Wyvern, and the other one isn't too important. Usually people send a White Stone of Legend, but I don't have one. So you send these 3 to the graveyard, and then Eclipse Wyvern's effect activates when it's sent to the grave. It will banish Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon from your deck. You then activate the Dragon Ruler's effect to special summon itself. And then you have to banish the engrave monsters that you sent, which will activate Eclipse Wyvern's effect to add this to your hand. You can then special summon the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon by banishing your Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter Dragon. This will send the XC material to the graveyard. You can then use the Red MD's effect to special summon it. So you special summon this. You then can summon a second one of these from your deck, put on top of this, use its effect to send it another 3, including another Dragon Ruler and another Eclipse Wyvern, and you can basically just repeat the combo. So this combo is the main reason why these cards, there's 4 of them, are all banned. They were all at 1 before that. Also of note, this card is at 1 also. It was already at 1 before this combo, but combos like this are partly why this card is hits. And then the other main reason why cards are on the ban list is because they simply have not been taken off the ban list yet. Cards like Tribe Infecting Virus and Time Seal are not good cards anymore, but both of them are banned because they used to be good. Tribe Infecting Virus used to be inside the category where it was simply a really powerful card on its own. You could use this to deal with almost any field your opponent had, but now it's a really slow card that would not see any play. And Time Seal used to be part of a combo that basically won you the game when you pulled it off. You can still do the combo, but the combo is way too slow to work effectively anymore. And this card is actually worse at this point than Tribe Infecting Virus. It's actually kind of terrible. So both of those cards are still banned because a lot of cards take longer than they should to be removed from the list. The primary goal of the list, besides balancing the game, is to try to make it so there aren't the same old decks dominating the format. The main reason Konami wants this is because they want you to buy their new cards, so they want to get rid of their old best cards. But what this means is a lot of times archetypes will have their best cards hit in an attempt to make the older decks not played as much. For example, Spellbook of Judgment is a ridiculous card that basically brings spellbooks from a decent deck to one of the best decks just by itself. And this card is currently banned, so if this card was unbanned, spellbooks would see a lot more play. But Konami isn't making any new spellbook cards, so they have no reason to really unban it from a financial point of view. And then Tour Guide is another card that was hit recently to hurt an archetype. This was hit to hurt Burning Abyss, which is another archetype that they just finished releasing all their cards for. Of course, I feel that the whole Konami only hitting cards because of money reasons is somewhat overblown by the Yu-Gi-Oh community, but it is a valid point to bring up. So hopefully this video was interesting, showcasing a few cards that are banned and why they are. The important takeaway from this video for beginner players is There are some cards that are too good to be used at 3 copies, like most cards are allowed to be played at. And when you're making a new deck and you're not quite as familiar, it can be helpful to look at the list of cards that are at 0, 1, or 2. So just remember the links down in the description below, and it's definitely a helpful resource for a beginning player. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. The next one is the final video in my series where I'll be covering Dueling Network, which is my favorite place to play online against other players.